Hi, everyone. I am Jessica from Afro-Vegan Society, and I'm here with Jamila.
How's it going? I'm Jamila Alfred, Marketing Director of Afro-Vegan Society.
Yes, and we are here because tomorrow is our live Afro-Vegan virtual conference summit. And we're so excited that we wanted to kick it off a little bit early by having a virtual happy hour. So we're going to be cooking up some tasty vegan eats and some delicious drinks from our favorite Black vegan cookbooks. So today I'm going to be cooking from Bryant Terry's Afro-Vegan cookbook, and I'm going to be making a Roselle Rubio's drink. So it's like hibiscus, South African root, rooibos tea, pineapple orange. It's really delicious. And I'm also going to be making some bere bere black eyed pea sliders. So it's going to be super tasty. And everything I'm making today is gluten free. And what are you cooking up today, Jamila?
So for the drink, although it might not be from the cookbook that I originally wanted to do it, the cookbook that I'm working on, y'all, is Lusty Vegan by Ayinde Howell. He also co-wrote it with somebody else, forgot her name, but Ayinde Howell nonetheless made that book a couple years ago. And that was the first vegan cookbook I ever got when I first went vegan 8.5 years ago. And from that cookbook, I'm going to be making mini tempeh sliders, like sriracha sliders, but I'm going to make it like sriracha barbecue. If you've gone to Trader Joe's anytime soon, they have an awesome barbecue sauce that I totally love that I use instead. And for the drink, I got the drink from a website that like is really big into kombucha. So I'm going to make a nice little kombucha champagne drink called a lavender lemon fizz. So I'm really, really excited to make it. I know it's going to be really tasty.
That sounds super delicious. So we want to interact with y'all. This is a time to connect, get hype, ask any questions you might have. We can see the comments throughout this broadcast. So let us know, first of all, what's your name and where are you from so we can say hi, shout you out during the broadcast. And with that, Jamila, do you want to get started with your mocktail cocktail?
Absolutely. So y'all, this is definitely a cocktail. We know we're not like, if you're not going to use champagne, that's perfectly fine. You can use like a nice like sparkling water. If you want to, you can do sparkling wine instead. But of course, you can get yourself a nice vegan champagne. And the recipe calls for a whole bottle of champagne, but we're not going to do that today. So we're going to have our kombucha. Since this is a lavender lemon fizz, we're going to have a lavender flavored kombucha. I got this from GT Synergy, that is at most health food stores. So I'm going to put as much as I want into this glass since I'm not going to do a big whole drink. So I'll put probably about, since it calls for the whole one, I'll probably put about almost 2 cups, so close to 16 ounces for this. Close to 16 ounces, which is the whole thing. Not going to do too much. And of course, what's a lavender lemon fizz without the lemon? So I have 2 lemons here that I want to cut up and squeeze into the drink. And what I like to do with lemons, I love to like knead them a little bit. I like to just press on them to get all the juices like flowing and all that type of stuff. So we'll have a nice juicy squeeze. And I already have some pre-sliced right here. So I'm going to juice this as much as possible. So the thing is, I don't have a lemon squeezer or an orange squeezer, a citrus squeezer. So what I'm going to do is pretty much put my hand over this lemon because I don't want to put the seeds in there. So instead of like trying to have a fancy contraption, I'm just going to straight up put it over my hand and filter it. So juicy. Yum, yum. All right, cool. So we'll discard this. And for the other slice, putting it right into the drink. Ooh, nice. And the thing is, this also calls for like culinary lavender. So that could probably mean like lavender, not even essential oil because it's not edible, but you could use fresh lavender if that's local and accessible to you. I've heard of lavender extract. I was looking all over the place for lavender extract, y'all, but I couldn't find it nowhere. So we're just going to stick to the lavender kombucha for this recipe. So this is the other half of the second lemon and then one more. Awesome. Okay. So I'm now going to move on to the champagne portion of this recipe. And we like to do recipes like to the T sometimes, but you also have to do things intuitively. So I'm kind of putting my own little spin here since we don't have culinary lavender and I don't want to use a bunch of champagne, but I'm probably going to use just a few pours. So this was probably about like 6 ounces. And I do want to add sugar. It also calls for coarse sugar. I'm not going to use that much. So I have my measuring cup right here. And this is 1 cup. So I'm probably going to use, honestly, less than half a cup for it. So I'm just going to pour my coarse sugar in here. No, I'm going to honestly use like a 1/4 cup, like barely a 1/4 cup, y'all. So that's what it looks like with my measuring cup. And then pour on in here. Woo! Ooh! Oh! Y'all can't see it, but it's now I know why it's called a fizz.
Oh my God.
Well, I did not prepare for this, but this is a happy surprise. I'll clean it up later. But as I clean it up, how about you enlighten us with your recipe, Jessica?
Absolutely. I actually am going to take a page out of your book. At first, I had a whole picture set up, but I'm like, it's just me. I don't need all that. Right. So this drink looks super appealing to me. I absolutely love hibiscus. So it's super fresh, tangy, fruity. Like I said, it's made with it's called the Roselle Rooibos drink. So Roselle is another word for hibiscus, as is sorrel in the Caribbean. So hibiscus, I think, comes from Nigeria originally. It has amazing health benefits. It's great for your heart, your blood circulation, all those wonderful things. And then this rooibos tea is from South Africa. So it has kind of like florally notes to it. So I have my glass here. I have some pineapple chunks in here. The recipe also calls for ice. I'm not a fan of ice, but you could freeze your pineapple, use frozen pineapple chunks as a natural cooler. And then I'm going to go in and fill this glass up about halfway with my hibiscus tea. So I just took hibiscus flowers that were dried that I got from the international aisle of the grocery store. And I steeped it in 3 cups of water, and I added 2 cinnamon sticks. And I let it steep for about 2 hours. So it's just really deeply pigmented and super red. Then we also have the rooibos tea. I also steeped this and I chilled these in advance. So I'm going to add an equal portion of the rooibos tea. And then I have my agave nectar. I love agave nectar as a sweetener. And I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of this. Just drizzle it on around. And then to finish it off, I'm going to top it off with some orange juice. So you can use fresh squeeze. I just got it from the bottle. But yeah, we're going to use about maybe a 1/4 cup of orange juice. So, I mean, it looks like wine or sangria almost, but it's definitely 100% a health drink too. So you can get the best of both worlds when you're sipping on this. But if you want to add some red wine to this, that would probably be delicious. I would definitely also add some sparkling water. So we have our drinks, and cheers to everyone who's watching. Cheers, Jamila.
Yes, cheers. What's up? Even though I got stuff all over the place, but cheers, y'all. All worth it. This is
delicious. So yes, and we have so many people tuning in, shouting out where they're from. Hi, Joya from Texas. Hi, Rochelle from San Diego. We got DR in the house from Orlando. We got Christina from St. Louis. And we have Rena from Nashville. So hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in with us. And now it's time to cook. So, Jamila, you said you're making some sriracha barbecue tempeh sliders. You want to get started telling people what ingredients they'll need to make that?
Yes, y'all. And I am hungry, so we're about to do this right now. So what I have is 1 block of tempeh. You can get that at your local, most likely grocery store. It's fermented tofu, fermented soy, So just a nice little block, which is usually 8 ounces. And what I'm going to do is take out my trusty cutting board and cut them into 4s. So once again, these are sliders. Sliders are little mini sandwiches. I'm just going to cut them into 4s. That's most likely, fingers crossed. So cutting it halfway. And then you can also cut that half this way. Or what I'm going to do is cut it down the middle this way. So cutting these down the middle to complement our slider buns. And just before I get, I put the tempeh onto my skillet over here that's heating up. Let me show y'all these pretzel buns that I got yesterday. I went to my local health market and my local health food store, and they didn't have any slider buns. So y'all, I was kind of nervous. I was like, "Oh, where am I gonna find some slider buns?" Like under short notice. But luckily, they had mini pretzel buns. And I don't know about y'all, but I love pretzel everything. So this is gonna hit the spot. I'm super excited for this. So let me actually probably move my laptop a little closer so I can show y'all what I'm doing over here. So once again, just cut up my tempeh, my 8-ounce block of tempeh, and I'm gonna put half of this right into my skillet over here, where I'm going to put 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. You can use any type of oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil. What we have accessible right now is our vegetable oil. So I'm going to put the oil in first. Here, let me see if I can move it a little bit closer because my skillet is all the way over there, y'all. I'll bring it back over there in a sec. But I'm going to take my big old trusty oil and put 1/4 cup in it. And my sister's occupying the 1/4 cup measuring cup at the moment. So I like to eye it a little bit. And my thing is, I'm not a huge oil person. No shade to anybody using oil. Look, do you. We got to cook somehow, right? However, I'm really big into heart health, and I know that using as little oil as possible just works for me. I understand when it comes to cooking, it's very, very important, but I like to add a little bit less than a recipe allows. So here's my skillet, and I'm putting in 1/4 cup of oil. And this has already been heating up on medium to high heat for the past, I would say, 10 or so minutes. And as we usually know, I'm just gonna make sure that the skillet is evenly distributed with the oil. And now I'm going to be putting on my tempeh. So this is how it should look like, for our little sliders. Placing it directly on top of the skillet. And I'm actually, why not? I have a household full of people, vegans, of course, and I might as well just make a little bit for them to be sweet. So I'm putting them here on the skillet, where they'll be cooking for the next 10 or so minutes. I'm just going to be flipping them over when they're when they're brown and all that type of stuff. So I'll be eyeballing it. But how about you, Jessica? What you up to over there?
Okay, so I got prepped on my recipe a little bit earlier because it calls for caramelized onions. So I have some diced onions that I caramelized. It called for, like you said, I like to use less oil whenever possible. So I maybe only use a tablespoon of oil to get it going for 1/2 of an onion. And then I added in a little bit of water as I went just to create more steam to help it cook down, because that's just an easy way to cut down on oil in your recipe. So I have my pan on medium heat, and I'm just reheating my caramelized onions. And we're going to get the flavor going in these onions right now. I'm using Bete Bete spice. So that is a East African spice blend. It has paprika, peppers, salt. It's really, really delicious. It has a really robust flavor. Obviously, you taste it a lot in Ethiopian cooking. But yeah, it's really, really delicious. So we have quite a hefty bit of that here. This is the red seasoning. And then I also have some minced garlic and a little bit of sea salt. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my caramelized onions and let that just saute a bit. And you just want the spices to hit the oil and start to heat through. That really brings out all the aromatics. All the flavor is really released. So like I said, it called for maybe 2 more tablespoons of oil. I use 1 teaspoon of oil. It sounds like not that big of a difference, but it kind of makes that a big difference. So I just like to cut down where I can. You can still get the integrity of the flavor, but you don't have to, use as much oil. And then I'm going to go in with 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And we just want that to spend some time heating up on the skillet. It's tangy, very tangy at first, but when you let it caramelize in the pan a little bit, it starts to bring out the natural sweetness. So getting that mixed around. And, looking a little dry here. Want to make sure if y'all can see. Can you see what's in my pan? It's already smelling amazing in here. So got that heated up. And now I'm adding my mushrooms. So this is about 3/4 of a cup of diced portobello mushrooms. You can use whatever kind of mushroom you like. And these mushrooms are going to cook down a lot. So honestly, I would double this for real if you really like mushrooms. But this is definitely going to get us started. So we're building the base of flavor and texture in these black-eyed pea beta beta sliders here from Bryant Terry's Afro-Vegan cookbook. So I'm going to let these cook a bit and just get all of the spices and the tomato sauce all over the mushrooms. And then that's going to take a little bit of time to cook down. And while that cooks down, I'm going to come over to my trusty little food processor here. I hope you all can see it. Let me know in the comments if you can see my little food processor here. I think you can. And good evening, everyone who is tuning in. And so we're just going to take a 1.5 cups of cooked black-eyed peas, just plain cooked black-eyed peas. You can make them yourself. I got these in the can just to make this recipe that much simpler. I'm going to add those in. Then I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of tamari sauce. So tamari sauce is made from soybeans, has a very similar flavor to soy sauce, but tamari sauce is gluten-free. You could also use coconut aminos or just regular soy aminos, or regular soy sauce if you don't have an issue with gluten. So we've got our tamari sauce here. Like I said, I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of that, just eyeballing it. I'm also going to add about 1/2 tablespoon of unsulfured blackstrap molasses. So molasses is made during the process of making sugar. So it has a lot of iron. It's not quite as sweet, but it has a little bit of like smokiness to it. So that's going to add some really nice depth of flavor to these black-eyed peas. So we got that in. And then I'm going to use about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. So using that same trick Jamila used, I'm just going to hold my hand over my food processor and squeeze in so I don't have any seeds dropping down in there. And we got that in. And then just the tiniest splash of water, literally. And this is only going to take a few seconds. In the cookbook, he suggests that you blend them until they're completely smooth. I like a little more texture, so I'm just going to like pulse these a little bit so some of it's smooth and some of it's chunky. All right. And that looks about right to me. So let's see. I'm going to come up so you can see it.
Ooh, yum.
Okay, so I'm going to focus on letting these mushrooms cook down a little bit more. And then we're going to bring all this together to make our patty. So you have any updates on your recipe right now, Jamila?
Right now, actually, I'm still having them on the skillet. They should be done any minute now. I'll probably put it up a little higher because I like mine a little. I don't want to say I like my food burnt, but I like a little crispy. You know what I'm saying? So right now, as they're still on the skillet and they're browning up, I'm going to be mixing together my sauce for the tempeh. And once again, this calls for sriracha, but I went to Trader Joe's like a month ago, and I just actually no, this is a gift from my daddy. And my dad gave me this awesome sriracha and roasted garlic barbecue sauce from Trader Joe's. If you're near, I know, right?
That sounds really good.
So tasty. I remember when I first went vegan and I had to get my hands on this. First of all, I love barbecue sauce. Sriracha is amazing, and garlic. You can't pass them up. So I had to use this instead because I'm a barbecue fiend. And yeah, this is what it looks like, y'all. If you're in your if you're Trader Joe's at all, definitely get yourself a bottle of this. So right now I'm putting together my sauce. So it calls for 1.5 cups of water and about 1.5 tablespoons of sriracha barbecue sauce. And I'm just going to stir that, stir it. And as it's cooking, and once it browns, I'm going to take it off, put it on a plate, let it simmer a little bit. and then put it back in the skillet so I could pour this sauce into it. So I'm actually, this looks a little on the thinner side. I'm sure it'll probably thicken up and caramelize as it's getting browned in the skillet when I put it in there. But I might put on a little bit extra because I just love when I lay on the sauce thick. Okay. So
I'm a girl too. I love some sauce, especially barbecue sauce. So I'm with you.
Yes. And I'm glad you feel me because like I'm just, once again, I'm a saucy person. I understand the sodium content and all that type of stuff, but it's Friday, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I'm just going to keep stirring. And I'm just going to go ahead and check on my tempeh really quick and bring y'all with me as I sip on my lemon fizz. Go.
Lovely. Well, while you're moving, I want to do some more shout outs because there's some more people in the live. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm sipping on my Roselle Rubio's drink with hibiscus, rooibos tea, orange juice, and pineapple. And Jamila has a delicious lavender kombucha champagne situation popping off. And we're making 2 different types of vegan sliders from our favorite vegan cookbooks. So Christina Dancy, I saw you earlier. Jennifer Thomas from Philly. Hey, Philly in the house. What's going on? We see Samantha Salmon from New York City. Hey, Samantha. Thanks for.
Hey, Samantha.
Yes. We also have Crystal Johnson from Dallas. Hey, Dallas. Hey, Crystal. We got Melody from Pennsylvania. Thanks so much for tuning in. We hope y'all are hungry. If y'all are eating anything good right now while y'all are watching us cook, or if you're just cooking for the night, did you get some good takeout? Let us know what vegan eats you're munching on while we're cooking our food. Mm-hmm. We've got, let's see. Oh, we can put comments on the screen. We've got Deborah from Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Deborah. Yes. Okay. We got Teresa here from DC. Hey, Teresa. I'm around the corner from you. Yes. Love it. Okay. Who else we got here in the room on this Friday night? Oh, we have, check this out. We got Pamela Washington from Alaska. Hey, wow, we are honored. Thank you for tuning in. We also have Audrey from DC. Hey, Audrey, thanks for watching. And we have Antoinette from Chicago. So if you're just joining in, shout out where you're from. Let us know what you're excited about for tomorrow's live NAVCon virtual summit. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be jam-packed with so many amazing speakers and so much information for y'all. So, Christina's eating some chickpea curry and rice, my favorite. Ooh, yes. And Cynthia from Federal Way, Washington State. Yes, Pacific Northwest in the building. So, we love in the room. This is exciting. We love it.
Yes.
Did you have something you were showing, Jamila? Because if so, if not, I'm going to jump into putting my stuff together. But let me know. Do you want to hop in and explain what you're
actually? Go ahead and do what you got to do because I'm going to have to clean these off a little bit. The tempeh before I put the sauce in and stuff like that. So do you? By the way, I just have to say that's awesome that you're from Washington State. I heard the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. So yes, we love it.
Okay, so now it's time to bring together our ingredients for these black-eyed pea beta spiced sliders. So I have my minced black-eyed peas going into a mixing bowl. Just put all that in there. Next up, we're going to add in our sauteed mushroom mixture with the tomato paste and the caramelized onions and the beta spice and the sea salt. So that's going in. And then we have some millet. So millet is also a West African grain, very traditional grain. It's gluten-free. It has like a soft texture. It's almost like a cross between rice and oatmeal. That's the best way I could describe it. But if you do not have millet, let me try to show you a little better. But if you don't have millet, you could use rice, you could use quinoa, you could probably even use oats. You can use any type of grain replacement you want. Fonio is a new grain that I've been introduced to from Senegal, and that also will work really well in this dish. So we're putting that in. That is about, I would say, about 3/4 cup of millet. And basically what I did with this recipe is I halved it because I tested it earlier because I'm going to be able to show you the final product of what it looks like when it's done. But I halved it. So it makes twice as much. And if you're interested in this recipe, go to Bryant Terry's website, get his cookbooks. He has so many cookbooks, and try these out for yourself. Next up, for some freshness and a little spice, I have some minced jalapeno. I took out the seeds and the spine. This one is a little spicy. Sometimes they don't taste like anything, but this one has a little kick, so I'm glad I took that stuff out. And then I have some cilantro. So I'm just going to add in both of those in here. It only called for like 1 tablespoon of minced cilantro, but I'm like, put in a handful. I love cilantro.
And the thing is, cilantro is so good. I mean, I kind of, that it's like a genetic thing that some people just don't like it.
Yeah.
So where are cilantro lovers at? Send us an emoji. Let us know where you're at in the audience.
Yes.
I know I love cilantro. So.
We are team cilantro over here, it looks like. I love some cilantro. And also it kind of like the flavors mellow out when you cook it, like compared to eating it raw. So I feel like you can be generous if you want to. And then the original recipe calls for breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs, I couldn't really find any that are gluten-free. Oftentimes, gluten-free breadcrumbs have like egg in them, and it just wasn't worth the effort. I don't really like breadcrumbs in my veggie burgers anyway. So what I did was I'm going to use neat egg. I'm going to use about a 1/4 cup of this. You do not need to use neat egg. Neat egg is basically just a mixture of milled chia seeds and chickpea flour. So you can use oat flour, you can use chickpea flour, you could throw in some chia seeds, but basically we're just trying to bind it together because this mixture is kind of wet. Let me show you a little bit.
Yeah, let me see.
For me so I don't knock stuff over this time. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. So you can see some deep colors. That's a good indicator of deep flavors. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my neat egg. Like I said, it's just a blend of chickpea flour and milled chia seeds. Honestly, it's a cool product. It's kind of pricey when I see it in the store. So just get the chia seeds and the chickpea flour. It's a little more economical, definitely. So I'm going to mix this together. And then, Jamila, I don't know if you want to give any updates on your recipe while I'm mixing. But
actually, I would love to. So now that the tempeh is all browned, so I just removed it from the skillet. So y'all can make it a little bit more brown than I did. Once again, I didn't want to have it into like a burnt to a crisp, pretty much. So now that it's off, I'm going to remove half the oil that I have in my skillet. So I'm just gonna pour that. Excuse me for 1 second. All right, so now that I poured about half of the oil out, since it's not needed anymore, I'm going to put the tempeh squares onto my skillet and add the seasonings. So before I do that, let me show y'all what I have seasoned today. So, of course, this calls for typical things like basil, sage, blah, blah. But instead of those fresh herbs, especially if they're not accessible or affordable to you, I like to just use typical Italian seasoning because for real, Italian seasoning has the basil, it has it has marjoram, it has the rosemary, it has everything you need when it comes to savory herbs like that. So I'm going to have a little bit of Italian seasoning. And just like a lot of other Black vegans, I could measure the seasonings, but I'm just going to let my ancestors guide me today. And I'm going to put some red crushed pepper. This is completely optional. I just like it spicy. And of course, I'm going to have my onion powder and garlic powder because you can't have anything without that. I wish I had paprika. It doesn't call for it, but I don't have any on deck today. But what I am going to use, it calls for salt. And instead of using like a typical sea salt, which you can use yourself, I'm not going to put too much salt in it, especially since I'm going to be using the barbecue sauce. And on top of that, I plan on using a ranch to go with the sandwich itself. So I'm going to be using this Creole seasoning that I got from a place called Pepper Palace, where they sell super spicy sauces and rubs and barbecue sauces and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to put a little bit of that for the salt portion of it. And it's to give it a little extra kick. You know what I'm saying? Because you can never go wrong with Creole seasoning. So now I'm going to place the tempeh onto my skillet. And let me show y'all what that looks like. Oh, awesome. So someone says, Adrian Spade, what's good, says, I've been wanting to find more ways to incorporate tempeh into meal planning, and this sounds so good to pack for lunch. Absolutely. Definitely do that. And I understand if it's not so like easy to do because tempeh, there's a secret that a lot of people do when cooking tempeh. I love tempeh myself. What a lot of people like to do is they like to put, they like to boil their tempeh for like 10 minutes before they cook it. Look, y'all, that sounds like something that's very trivial and it doesn't really need to happen. But realistically, if you boil tempeh and then cook it afterwards, you can bake it, you can do whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. The texture is just unmatched. Like, it is so tender. It is just so like almost juicy. There's just something so like, oh, I can't explain it. So definitely, y'all, if y'all want nice, a good textured tempeh, try out boiling it like 10 minutes beforehand, before you put on the skillet. I did not do that for this recipe because it calls for sauteing it a lot, and I didn't want to stress it out. You know what I'm saying? So yep, we have it back on the skillet, and I'm going to let them cook on medium-high heat on each side. So what I'm going to do is add my spices. So as I mentioned before, I have my Italian seasoning. I'm just going to put as much as I feel on there. And once again, there is, I originally put in less than 1/4 cup of vegetable oil into my skillet. And I had to pour out half of it to continue this recipe, which is actually great because once again, in our opinion, not for everybody, I understand, but in our opinion, the less oil and the less salt, the better. You know what I'm saying? So adding my crushed red pepper, which is completely optional. I just cannot have savory food without it like burning my tongue. And of course, onion powder. Put that right on in there. And I'm just liberally placing all the spices in here. Of course, you can put like your 1 to 2 teaspoons or even tablespoons. But if I could guess how much I am adding to the tempeh blocks, I would say that I'm adding about close to a tablespoon of every seasoning. And here is the garlic, because you always have to have garlic in a savory recipe. Like if you're not using garlic, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So adding my garlic, and I'm being super, super liberal when it comes to that.
I had to come back on screen to agree with you about garlic, Jamila. Yes.
Absolutely. It takes it all. Yeah, you can never go wrong. And for the last spice, until I am going to let them cook and go to you, Jess, is once again the Creole seasoning. And look, we all know where some Creole spices can be. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a Southerner, like my family. Like you just keep going with it. So just a little bit. Oh, I put in a little too much, but ain't nothing wrong with that because since I'm using a barbecue sauce for it, the Creole seasoning and the barbecue sauce is just gonna like blend together so well. It's really just gonna taste like it's something Old Bay-y. We understand that not everyone here is from the DMV like we are, but Old Bay is our thing, and it's definitely gonna taste like that, which I'm super duper excited for. So yep, I put in all my spices, and now I'm just gonna like check on it, you know, flip it over if it needs to, and then I'll add my sauce later. So what you up to, Jess? Since I'm pretty much done with this now.
Okay, so I'm about to form my patties and get them in the skillet. So I just love coming to the front and risking my whole setup, but I'm going to come and show you what this mixture looks like once it's combined. And like I said, this is the millet, the black eyed peas that have been minced, the jalapeno, cilantro, and the sauteed mushrooms. So
Ooh.
So there's lots of texture in this mixture, and like I said, the chia seeds and chickpea flour really help it to like bind together, so it has some stickiness to it. So it's going to bind really, really well. So basically, what I want to do for these, okay, backstory. Here are my slider buns. Let me show you the buns. Okay, so the backstory with the slider buns is I'm gluten intolerant. I was looking for gluten-free slider buns and could not find any. So I basically took a gluten-free pancake mix and made these buns and sprinkled the sesame seeds on top. But they are tiny, so they're so little. So I have to make these sliders really small. The upside is that they're going to cook pretty quickly. So really, I mean, I'm eyeballing it here, but you really want to go for maybe like a golf ball size amount of the mixture in your hand, and it helps to wet your fingers. so that it doesn't stick to your hands as much when you're forming it. And then I just have like a tablespoon of grapeseed oil in my pan. I'm going to flatten it out. And we have the tiniest sliders ever made. And here they go right into the pan. I'm going to do a couple more. And basically these really just need to cook for about 7 to 10 minutes on each side. Veggie burgers can be really moist on the inside. I'm not the biggest fan of that. So I like to cook them a little bit lower, at a lower temperature and for a longer time so that they can dry out a little more. Another thing I've noticed with veggie burgers is, they might smell really good or look really good when they're right off the skillet, but they're wet in the center and they're a little bit more unstable. So it's better when you let them cool for like 10 to 15 minutes before you eat them so you can get a better texture. That's just my personal experience. And then my other takeaway is that baking veggie burgers often yields better results for me than cooking them in a skillet. Like if you really like that skillet flavor and cooking it in a little bit of oil, you can always just cook it on the outside for 5 or a couple minutes on each side, and then put it on a baking sheet and finish it off in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. But I find that I get the most sturdy, chewy, meatiest veggie burgers when I cook them in the oven. They're more crisp on the outside usually, so this pan frying usually helps, but I'm usually too lazy to do 2 steps. I usually pick one. So I have my patties cooking here. Like I said, it's going to be 5 to 7 minutes on each side over medium low heat. And I want to show you what they look like when they're finished cooking, because I did pre-make some and I want to show you the difference. So on this side, I have my pan fried veggie burgers, and then on this side are my oven baked veggie burgers. So they have slightly different color, shape, but they're both really delicious. And like I said, when they cool down a bit, they set up and have better bite and chew. So I'm going to show you right now what the burgers look like up close. All right, so I don't know if you can hear me, but like I said, this is the pan fried ones, and then these are the oven baked ones. And the flavor is pretty much the same. For me also, I like cooking them in the oven because you don't have to keep your eye on the pan. You can just put 20 patties on a baking sheet and cook it. You might flip it halfway through. So maybe you're cooking them for 30 minutes, cook for 15 minutes, flip on one side, but then you can go on about your business, especially if you set a timer. So you don't have to pay as much attention to what's happening in the skillet. For me, that yields better results. So that's what we're going with. I'm letting these continue to cook. I want to take some time to do some more shout outs from the people who are dropping in the comments, because we have so many. And then I want to go back to you, Jamila. I think you're almost ready to assemble your sliders.
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay, so we're going to do some shout outs. Jamila's going to assemble, then I'm going to assemble, then we're going to wrap this thing up. So let's see. So Jennifer says, thanks, Jamila, for the tip on boiling tempeh. She was struggling with the taste, and so she's going to give that a try when she prepares it next time.
Anytime.
Yeah, okay. So yes, basically people in the comments letting us know that we're doing good, Jamila, and the food is looking good. So thank you. We hope you appreciate y'all. Yeah. Hopefully you get some inspiration to just freestyle in the kitchen. But if you want these recipes, check out Ayinde Howell, the Lusty Vegan, and check out Bryant Afro-Vegan. So there's so many amazing vegan recipes out there, especially from Black vegan chefs. The flavors, the textures, everything's on point. And I feel like these preparations have been pretty simple as well, don't you think? These are not overly complicated recipes. So I feel like anybody can achieve delicious results.
Absolutely. And realistically, I'm somebody, and I'm sure a lot of y'all will agree with me, I don't like to make anything too complicated. If it's too complicated, then it ain't for me. Because I just want to eat, one and done, So yeah, this is definitely very simple. And especially if you want to do it up just a little bit, these are definitely perfect. So let me just show y'all what I'm up to over here as I'm going, because I am about to do one of the last steps.
Jamila, can I do one thing? Somebody just asked a question. Can I answer a question?
Sure. Go right ahead.
So June, what I put into the onions was a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, about 2.5 teaspoons of East African bere spice. Let me see if I can. What did I do with it? Here it is. I don't know if you can see it, but we can share details about that. So yeah, it was basically just that and the bere spice, and tomato paste. So yeah, super simple for what happened in the skillet with the mushrooms.
Awesome.
Okay, take it away, Jamila.
Tasty. Sounds so tasty. So y'all already know that I put the already brown tempeh squares back into the skillet after I put out a little bit of oil and put the seasonings into it. So right now I put in the 1.5 cups of water mixed with about 2 or so tablespoons of the sriracha barbecue sauce and put it back in the skillet for it to saute for a bit. So what I just did, I probably put it on here about 2 minutes ago. And if y'all can see right here, they are sitting here soaking in the skillet, and I'm going to actually cover it for a couple minutes. And we're just gonna sit and wait in the meantime. But it's gonna be so good. This is another reason why, going back to tempeh, if you're sauteing it for a while, you definitely do not have to boil it. But once again, that is definitely a great way to do it. And honestly, if you have an air fryer, no shame in your game if you don't have one. You know, it's not for everybody. And I know it's not the cheapest thing ever. But air fryers are so awesome when it comes to making tofu and tempeh and all those types of things. And especially, I know this is off topic, but if we had more time today, along with these sliders, what I would like to do is use my air fryer to make sweet potato fries. Y'all know y'all like sweet potato fries. And it's around that time, for sweet potato things. So what I would like to do is make some sweet potato fries. I would cut them up, in like little wedges. What I like to do is, of course, I like to do it as less oil as possible. So I'll take it and put it in a bowl. I'll put seasonings in it, a tiny bit of oil in it, and I'll shake it up just so it can be evenly coated and all that type of stuff. And I'll heat up my air fryer for about like 10, 12 minutes on like 400. So I'm like making it quick because once again, we like quick, simple, and easy over here. And and I'll put it in my air fryer for about maybe 15 minutes when they're brown. Once again, I like things a little bit on the burnt side. So I like to make sure they're, the ends are a little crispy. And so that's what I would really like to do right now, to be honest. Because think about it, like sliders, homemade sliders with homemade sweet potato fries. Mwah, so good. So yeah, y'all, I'm still letting them simmer here. I'm gonna check on them and see what's good. I might even flip them over since it's probably been about 4 or 5 minutes on each side. And I'm going to continue to let them simmer for another 5 minutes. And then we'll check back on them in a second. But in the meantime, I'm still going to have my lavender fizz. Are you making any progress over there, Jess?
I am just now flipping my sliders, and they're looking real good. They're smelling really, really good. Here we go. So that's what they're looking like after they've been flipped.
Yes.
Yummy, caramelized, sizzly. Now, one thing about me is I love making veggie burgers. I don't make them all the time, but when I do, I like to make a pretty big recipe because they're great for meal prep, I think. So, like, if you go through the work of, like, chopping all these vegetables and cooking the beans and doing all this stuff, I like it to last a while. So, usually with a batch this size, I'll probably keep half and store it in the fridge and eat it for several meals over the course of several days, but then I'll take the other half and freeze them. And then you can take them out, cook them in the oven, cook them in the air fryer, and you have veggie burgers. And then you don't have to like buy veggie burgers from the store. The ingredients are super clean, as you know, because you made everything yourself. And that's my jam. And this is making a lot of burgers. I think this recipe makes like 20 sliders.
Whoa.
Yeah, so, and honestly, sliders, it probably will make more because they suggest that you use a 1/4 cup measurer to form your patties, and I probably only use like 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of the mixture to form these patties, so I might get closer to like 26 total. So you get quite a few patties out of this recipe, and it's very simple ingredients. It's just black-eyed peas, millet, seasonings, like really, really, really simple stuff. Onions, garlic, like So easy. So like when you look at the math, I feel like people feel like going vegan can be expensive because they're looking at like prepackaged products and they don't necessarily, you don't know where to start. And so you don't necessarily want to jump in with both feet, but beans and grains are like the most inexpensive things in the grocery store, and you can make some delicious, savory, deliciously textured, meals with this. And not only as a slider, like I would take this and make some gravy, eat it on the side with mashed potatoes and some greens or something. I would also have these like on top of a salad or in a wrap. Like they're very versatile. Same, I feel like the same thing with that barbecue tempeh you're making. Like it's versatile. You can eat it a couple ways. You don't have to eat it as a slider. You can eat it a lot of different ways. So yes, look at your mains that you put your effort into making and see how many ways can you enjoy them while you're eating a vegan lifestyle, and just get as much variety and simplicity at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just like what you were saying, like, come on, y'all, like you can play with it. Recipes are just suggestions. I know, like it's a little science experiment that you get to intuitively see if it works for you. Because sometimes they'll say 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, which is blasphemous. How dare you? Maybe you want a 1/4 cup. So it work. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Always have fun with it, because cooking doesn't have to be so serious all the time.
It's true. It's true. It's about enjoyment. It's about survival. Obviously, we have to eat to live, but it's definitely about enjoyment as well. Like we have the luxury of being able to enjoy our food. I feel like that's part of the reason we have survived as a human race, because we figured out how to make eating enjoyable.
Yeah.
So bask in that, for sure. So I have one more topping. I think. Are you ready to assemble yet? Or
actually, I think I am. So I'm going to check out one more time. And I'm probably going to start plating it. So let's see if it looks pretty good. Look, y'all can't see this right now. There's like a little cloud of smoke. This smells fantastic. I'm just gonna have to say this right now. Once again, I'm a barbecue fan, so of course that's what it's gonna smell like to me. But what I'm going to do right now is to turn off my skillet and let them sit for 2 seconds. Turn off my fan because I do not want the fire alarm to go off. Not in the mood for all that. And now I'm going to work on plating. So once again, y'all could use whatever slider buns you have that's accessible and affordable to you, that's vegan. However, I'm definitely going to be using this pretzel bun type mini sliders, because pretzels are so fantastic. And I really feel like pretzel buns can go on anything, especially if it's like a cultural cuisine. I don't know if y'all have ever had like pretzel buns when it comes to something like a Korean type dish or anything like that. Pretzels can really just mix with any type of cuisine, in my opinion. So I'm going to take the little cute buns that I just want to eat myself, just straight up. I'm going to start plating it. This might not be the most cute plate ever since it's a little on the oily side, but here you go. And then I'm going to go to my skillet and get one of these beautiful tempeh chunks. Okay, let me see which one looks more brown. Yeah, this is the one. This is definitely the one. So I'm going to place it right on top. I do want to put a little bit of toppings on it, and this is completely optional. Whatever works for you works for you. But what I want to do is put on some here. Let me move some things back. It's a little too close. But what I'm going to do is add a little bit of vegan ranch, non-dairy ranch. Oh, and ranch also has eggs in it. So yep, non-dairy and non-egg ranch. I'm going to put on some Daya cheese. Once again, like I understand that there's like a little thing people have when it comes to Daya. But I am not opposed to Daya cheese. Their cheese has always been good to me. I wasn't the biggest cheese eater when I was not vegan, but I'm going to drizzle a little bit of ranch on my pretzel bun. Ooh, I put a little too much, but it's all good. And you can use whatever you feel. You can use vegan mayo, vegan ranch, vegan. Honestly, I wouldn't mind even doing like a vegan cream cheese for something like this. That might sound weird to certain people, but cream cheese slaps. It can really go on anything, in my opinion. So because I already have the barbecue sauce on it, I'm not going to do the most when it comes to sauces. However, didn't I just say before that I'm really into barbecue sauce? So I'm going to pour a little bit on top of the tempeh. Once again, this is optional. And you can also put some onions on it, some cucumber, some lettuce, tomato, whatever you feel. I just wanted to see how it tasted as is. So once again, got my ranch on a pretzel bun, got the tempeh square right here, and I'm gonna put on a little bit of cheese. Usually I would like to melt the cheese on top of something like this, but it doesn't really matter today. And if you're wondering, based on how the cheese looks, because usually the cheese is like one color, this is not only just cheddar or mozzarella, but it's both. This is a blend, y'all. So this is basically really good for like things like pizza, like just really almost like entire Italian inspired dishes, which I really, really like. So here is pretty much the finished product. Once again, you can put onions, any type of other toppings. I just wanted to have it with cheese because once again, and I also was going to put on like some sort of cabbage, but today is just not the day for that. And here it is. Oh, squish it down a little bit. Y'all, this looks so good. Oh, so cute. And should I do a taste test or I don't know? Here. Let me just do a little mini taste test.
You want to do it after I put mine, and then we can do a simultaneous. Okay.
That'll be great.
Perfect. Okay, so I have my tiny slider buns here on my plate, and for the toppings, I have a sliced tomato, I have some avocado slices, and then I have pickled red onions. So this pickled red onion recipe also came from the Afro-Vegan cookbook by Bryant, and it has apple cider vinegar, black peppercorns, and toasted cumin seeds in it. So just add some crunchy, bright juiciness to everything. So I'm going to start off by taking my sliders, and they turned out fantastic, nice and deep golden brown. I'm going to put them on the bottom. Okay. Got 3 patties up. And yes, spiced sweet potato fries would be amazing with this too.
Oh, yes.
All right. And then I'm going to top it off with my tomato slices. Let me try to find some small ones because these buns are comically small. And then we're going to hit it with our pickled red onions. I love pickled red onions personally. It's not something I ever knew I would love, but I had them for the first time when I was studying abroad in Mexico. And they used to eat them with black bean soup with like avocado and radishes and cilantro. And so I love all those things so much and eat them with so many things, not just black bean soup. Yeah, so these are delicious. This is a nice pickle recipe. It's definitely more mild than the ones I'm used to. So I would probably add like juice of 2 limes just to give it a little bit more tanginess if I were to make this recipe again. But they definitely add the perfect juicy, crunchy, tangy elements to these sliders. So we're going to load it up. Can y'all tell I like these onions? Like onions are as big as the sliders at this point. And then we're going to go in with some of this avocado. I always overfill my burgers, my burrito, everything. If I'm building something like this, I always overfill it, and it's always falling apart when I'm eating it. But I just can't stop myself. And I just lost a chunk of avocado. I could cry right now, but I'm going to hold it together for y'all. But yeah, so I'm overlooking this burger, and because these buns are gluten-free, they're definitely going to fall apart when I bite it. But that's part of the fun. You just have to have a fork on deck. Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to top these off. Woo. Come on now. Get up. All right. Woo. Okay, we did it. I think we almost did it. Okay, we definitely did it.
Yay.
Let's see. I feel like, oh no, this is 2 tops. Let me fix this. Okay, so we'll do that and that. All right, so I'm coming close for my close up and for this taste test. I may regret this, but we're going to do it. Okay. All right. I told you guys I was going to overdo it before, so don't be surprised when my sliders are falling apart. Okay, here we come. Here we come.
Ooh, let me find out. Ooh, that looks good. Y'all, come on, comments. Y'all know this looks good. Come on now. Give us the comments now. Go ahead. Yes.
All right, so you ready for a taste test?
Yes. And once again, okay, great. So, okay. You ready?
Go. Almost. Ooh, this is okay. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
Mmm. Okay. I'm not even mad.
Wow. So good. It's a little spice in this. Very savory. Little things that I wouldn't necessarily think to put in my sliders, like a squeeze of lemon juice or a little bit of molasses, are like, wow. Very, very, very delicious flavors. And the pickled onions, they balance everything out. The avocado and the tomato, ooh. Because like I kind of wanted, so I was watching you spread your was it mayo or sauce on your slider, and I was like, I want dressing, but the avocado was creamy enough that I'm getting that from that. So these are delicious. How's your tempeh slider going?
Honestly, I took another bite because I had to. This is so good. There's something very bacony tasting about it. And I didn't even add any like soy sauce or liquid smoke. The water reduced down perfectly to kind of caramelize the tempeh a little bit. I mean, it's pretty saucy. And you know, of course, pretzel buns, it just took it to a whole nother level. So this is really, really tasty. Super savory. It just really reminds me of like a nice little, like really tasty and almost bacony veggie burger. With an even better texture because as I mentioned earlier with boiling tempeh, of course that'll make it more tender. But to me, this was like not even tender, but it was firm enough to be taken seriously as a slider. And like it can really technically compete with other black bean burgers. So I definitely really like this. Definitely restaurant style quality. So yeah, shout out to Ayinde for making this perfect recipe. This is really tasty. I can't
delicious. I want to try that one as well. And I'm going to take a sip of my drink, my Rubio's Roselle drink with hibiscus and orange and pineapple and all that. And I'm about to enjoy this. This was really fun happy hour, Jamila.
Yeah, this was great. Fantastic. And thank y'all for joining us today. It's Friday, the day before NAVCon. Super excited. And super excited to spend time with y'all.
Yes, we're looking forward to connecting with you all throughout the day tomorrow. And let us know in the comments if you had fun at this happy hour and if you'd like to do it again in the future maybe, or maybe cook with us where we share the recipe in advance so we can all just have our drink and our snack together and have a good time. We want to connect with you all more and more. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we're going to see you tomorrow.
Yes, see y'all tomorrow, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Bon appetit.
Absolutely.